Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm Elliot Margolis, and I'm here with my co-host Gail Burke, and our two special guests tonight are the chairman of the Republican City Committee of Beverly and the co-chair of the Republican City Committee of Beverly, Jeff McGraw and Amy Norton. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Elliot. Glad to be here.
Okay, the first question is a real simple one. Why are you re-examining or redoing the Beverly Republican City Committee?
Oh, that's a good question, Elliot. Well, for me, I've been involved with Beverly politics sort of for several years. I've been going to meetings and participated as a member of the committee. I got involved in a state campaign several years ago, and then I was on Joe Schneider's congressional campaign 2 years ago. Learned a lot in that event, and then as we came back to Beverly, the city committee saw what was going on with the local party, and you have a nice, strong core group of individuals, but I want to grow it and expand it. Really make it a venue for people to get their voices heard at the city level, get some diversity of ideas, get some maybe some new blood at the city level, but to really focus on the city issues. And for me, it's you try to give back to the community, and I think this is a good way that I can serve. So that's why I'm trying to help. Amy?
Yeah, so I just recently been involved with the committee. It started when John Paul Moran was running. Somebody on Facebook had posted that he was going to be speaking at a meeting, and I didn't even realize that there was a Beverly Republican City Committee. So I've been getting more and more involved, say, over the past year and a half. So I guess for me, it's just making sure that the city of Beverly knows we exist, and that we are here as an alternative. We are looking for diverse ideas, and we want people who like the fact that we have diverse ideas to get involved at all different levels of Beverly politics.
Okay, Amy, so how are you going to do that?
Well, right now we're just trying to reach out to everybody to let them know we are here, and to try to build a community that people feel safe in getting involved with. So it's just right now, just reaching out and just letting people know here we are. Come and join us.
Do you put out flyers? Give out flyers to people to let them know that you're there? Do you do anything with the newspapers, or is it strictly social media?
Right now, it's strictly social media. We have been building a following on Facebook, but we also would like to, start generating a good email database that we can use, especially where social media is iffy. You never know what's going to happen, or if you're going to get banned from social media. And eventually, we would like. We are looking into different ways to let the city know that we are here. So we haven't officially done a flyer. We are reaching out to people personally through email and through social media right now. So we're hoping, a friend tells two friends, and then they tell two friends. And so we're trying to be more boots on the ground and connect with people that way.
What do you think are the most important issues facing Beverly, and how would you get involved with it?
Jeff, you want to start?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I feel like I'm a politician when I say that, because I've done it twice now. But as we said earlier, we're focused on Beverly issues. We think that what we're focused on, or at least I'm focused on, is how to make the city run better. Just meat and potatoes issues, like making sure that we get the potholes fixed in a reasonable time limit or a reasonable time, making sure that the city infrastructure has the resources they need to do what that we expect them to do, making sure that the school can give the students the best education possible, and not just 12 years of schooling, making sure that the children coming out of Beverly are equipped to participate and compete and succeed and thrive in an incredibly competitive global economy. We're not in the 50s anymore where you can grow up and graduate from high school and have an incredibly prosperous job at the shoe for 30 years and retire. You're competing against 7 billion individuals, and if we don't have strong, smart, aggressive, inquisitive kids, we are failing them as adults and as a city and as a community. So for me, I don't happen to have kids in the school system, but if we had the best schools in town, the best schools in the Boston area, which is a community with good schools, I think that would be an excellent outcome. But real meat and potatoes city issues. We're not focused on national or international or even state level issues at this point. We're sticking to our knitting and trying to be effective at the Beverly level. That's my thoughts.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've heard from a number of different people when you're talking about education. If you're a conservative in Beverly High School, you're virtually blackballed. They don't treat conservatives well at the school. The conservative teachers are not treated well. The Republican committee of the school they're basically told to just keep a low profile and don't do anything. And obviously the administration and the union is quite liberal.
Yeah.
What do you
and that's part of why we want to focus solely on Beverly issues. We want to make sure that we have equal representation. All ideas are welcome, right? So we're not trying to make it a one-party rule, but just make sure that there's a balance in the politics in Beverly. So we also want, and this is part of the reason why we want people to understand that we're here, so that they feel like they have a group that will support them, so that if they do have an idea, they're not afraid to speak their mind and not be afraid of what could happen if they do.
Right.
So the one-party rule never works. So we want to make sure that we maintain a good, even balance for all the citizens in Beverly.
Well,
Yeah.
when you talk about one-party rule, there is a one-party rule in the state of Massachusetts. And I think that the Republican Party in Massachusetts, whether it's in Beverly, whether it's in Peabody, wherever it is, has been absent. And I think you probably do understand, but it's going to be an uphill battle. And I think that, as Elliot was saying, what's happening in the schools, there's a lot of bad things happening in the schools. And I think if you familiarize yourself with it, whether you have kids in school or not, there are some terrible things going on in all the schools, whether it's Beverly, whether it's Boston, they're failing. And the children are failing. And I think if you take on an issue like this, I think you would find that there will be a lot of parents that would be behind you, because they're very concerned, especially since COVID, when the kids have been home and parents are now beginning to see what they're actually learning. And it isn't good. It's a lot of politics in the schools. And we've interviewed the superintendent of schools. Well, over the years, we've interviewed her a number of times. But the last interview we did, I asked her a question about the 1619 project, and she told me it was not in the schools. Well, if it wasn't in there then, I think it's going to be in there very soon, and nobody wants to talk about it.
Mm.
And it's a very controversial program.
Now, are you working to get more people to run for local offices?
Yeah, that's one of our key goals. Unfortunately, over the last several election cycles, there's been several offices at the city council. We have 6 city councilors, a mayor, 6 school board members, and the state offices. And several of those offices have been uncontested over the last several election cycles.
Right.
Gail, you have a good point. It is an uphill battle, but sometimes the fight has to be fought.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get, the goal of the party is not to sit around and talk about social political issues. The goal of the party is to get people elected and to provide support for candidates.
Sure.
So if there's someone in Beverly who is listening to this podcast, give us a call. Reach out to us on the Facebook page, which we'll give you in a second. We are actively looking for people that want to engage and want to be part of solutions in the city of Beverly, either at the mayor level or the city council level or the school board level. That is our primary goal. Right now, Amy mentioned that we're focusing on getting the outreach, and I think she was a little maybe coy about the work she's been doing on Facebook. She's been doing an incredible job with that. And she wouldn't say it, but I'll say it. She's been doing amazing work. But at the end of the day, if we have everybody, if we have a very large involved city committee that still cannot get people elected, then we've failed as a city committee. That's our job.
Right, but see, here's the thing. Allegedly, city politics is nonpartisan.
Sure.
But the reality is the city council has at least 8 liberals on it, and the school committee has 6 liberals on it.
Yeah.
And so how do you plan on breaking that?
Well, Amy, I'll take a shot at that.
Yeah.
If you want. Okay. I think the way to handle that is to realize that in the city of Beverly, we are not addressing national combative issues. There's enough anger and angst, and I don't want to say hate, but I'll just say discord at the national level between the two parties. We don't need that in Beverly. We're not worried about these big national issues, and I'm not even going to name any of them. That everybody who watches TV or reads any piece of news could probably list off a half a dozen reasons to pick arguments. But again, like I said earlier, in the city of Beverly, we need to think about Beverly issues. The city council doesn't need to be thinking about global warming. Because of the city of Beverly, we're not going to have an impact. I know we did the work with the bags, and I see value to that, but global warming is a global issue. We can do stuff at the city level to support.
It's also a local issue, Jeff.
It is.
That's down to the local government.
I agree, and
I think Beverly does a good job of that.
Yeah,
I mean, overall, we have the solar panels up. I mean, we're not ignoring the
We're not ignoring it, but I think the thing that we're going to focus on is, like I said earlier, is the blocking and tackling of working at the city government level. Focus on people that know how to run businesses, know how to run organizations, who are organized, who can get things done, who've been in the city of Beverly, who are new to the city of Beverly and have new ideas. I think if we're having a debate or a conversation with someone at the city level and contentious issues get brought up, I think the proper response is just to say, that's interesting and we can talk about that, but we're at a city council meeting and let's talk about fixing potholes. We don't need to talk about whether, I'm not even going to go down that path, but we don't need to talk about contentious issues when we have potholes that need to be fixed.
Right.
And I'm not saying Beverly is awash with potholes, but those are the kinds of issues that we need to be working on.
The local level government really has the most impact on everyday
Absolutely.
life for
Absolutely.
citizens. So we want to make sure that we have candidates that really are focused on Beverly and not focused on everything else going on around the world. It's
Right.
it's
Okay,
here.
how do you decide, for instance, you have a few candidates. What criteria will you use to decide whether or
That's a great
not
question.
you're going to fund certain candidates? Because in the past, we've seen in Massachusetts, in Beverly, or wherever, that these candidates say one thing when they're running, and when they get into office, they do just the exact opposite. So what kind of criteria are you willing to use to ensure that you get the best candidates, and how much funding you're going to give them?
Amy, do you want to take a shot at that?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I think we want to meet with everybody and have a conversation with them. And I think, it's a gut instinct on some issues. Like, do I feel like they are truly representing what they want to do? So I think there will be a little gut reaction to that person. Are we aligned on a lot of the same issues? From that point of view, I think it's just meet and greet and then
Right.
make the decision.
But you
on
want
how
it to be an
we-
issue-oriented campaign, issues for Beverly.
Issues for Beverly, not
Yeah.
issues for what's happening overseas or what's happening at the national level, but issues for Beverly. The question on who we're going to fund, the BRCC does not have a $100,000 pot of cash to invest in this type of thing.
But any of the listeners are welcome to donate, right?
Yes. We are going to be raising funds at the city level and at the candidate level.
We'll
Campaigns
help.
we will help. Campaigns can be expensive. But at the city level, if a good organization and good neighbors and having the relationships at the city level can counteract sometimes a deep war chest, but because at the city of Beverly, I'm a newcomer, as they say. I've only been here since 2002, so 20 years I'm a newcomer. Amy's been here a bit longer, I'll say.
Just a bit.
A bit. But, asking the question on how to pick somebody, I think that's a really difficult question to answer. Amy, I agree with what Amy said, and one of the things that I like to look for is it's the same thing I look for when I'm hiring people or looking for someone to do work for me, is someone who focuses on solutions. If someone just said, the mayor is doing bad stuff just because, or Biden is bad because, or Trump is bad because, you ask them the question, well, what specifically are they doing bad, and what would you do better, and how could you fix that? And it doesn't have to be that, so-and-so, if Amy was running for mayor, it doesn't have to be which she's not. A candidate doesn't have to know the 10 different key issues that are affecting Beverly today. However, you can ask them the question about what are some challenges that you've had in the past, and what are ways that you've come to solutions that have been effective? How have you fixed things? How have you done better?
What you're looking for is a proactive candidate rather than a reactive candidate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And someone who wants to roll up their sleeves and be part of the community and get involved.
Now,
That's
you
the
said
key.
you had, 300 members that you...
Amy? Yeah.
So I took over the Facebook page, and we've been building it. So we have like 300 and I think 20 people who have liked our Facebook page. So I've more than doubled the audience that we have on the Facebook page. So
Have you had any meetings other than Zoom or Facebook or whatever? Have you had any person-to-person meetings yet?
A few.
not yet, not because of
Whoa.
COVID.
Not,
Well,
not big ones, but we've met with,
yeah.
we've had small meetings, face-to-faces, but not 50 people in a room.
I think what I'm trying to get at is that I think when you're head of a committee and you're recruiting people to come to meetings, which hopefully will happen soon, you have to ensure that the people that are coming to your meetings, and you have to form a solid core of
Absolutely.
people who are willing to work hard, go out and stand on the street corner with a sign if need be. I mean, it's that kind of thing that eventually you will have to do if you want to make an impact.
That's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
And the winter months, make it difficult around here, but hopefully now that the nicer weather is coming around, we can start meeting in person as we can space out and,
speaking of meeting people, speaking of meeting people, a few weeks ago, we had the vice chair of the Democratic City Committee on the show. And one of the things we talked about was the fact that it seems like on a national level, Democrats hate Republicans, Republicans hate Democrats, they can't get along. We came out with an idea that maybe the Democratic City Committee and the Republican City Committee should get together and do a community service project in Beverly together and publicize the fact that, okay, we have different philosophies, we're all for Beverly.
I think it's a great idea. That's a lovely idea, Elliot. I'm up for it. Have him give us a call. You have my phone number, Elliot. Have him give us a call.
I do. I know how to get you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a fabulous idea.
I think that starting at the local level, we got to show people that politics isn't everything.
Who is the person? Who is the Democrat?
Hannah Bowen.
Hannah Bowen.
So I just think, showing people that we can do things together and still disagree. I mean, let's face it, you've been married a long time, I've been married a long time. My wife and I don't agree on everything.
Sure.
But we work it out.
Yeah. It's real unfortunate that things have become as contentious as they have. And I hope that that's sort of a cycle that will go up and down. If you look at some of the history, some of the political writings from the Revolutionary War were pretty salty. So there have been periods of very aggressive campaigning and very aggressive name calling. I'm, old enough to remember Reagan being in office when I was a young, grade school, and people were pretty nasty to that guy. I remember, when Bush 1 was in office, and people were just vicious to him. So for people to think that, in my opinion, for people to say that, or to think that politics was kid gloves until however long ago, I think that's
fallacy.
Yeah, that's a fallacy. I think that it is worse than I've ever seen it in the last maybe 10 years.
It's got progressively worse.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because that's our community. These are our brothers and sisters. We're all Americans.
That's a funny thing. They call the liberals progressives. I think we ought to change that to calling them regressives. Yeah. Because they're certainly not progressive. But in any case,
I don't want to get into name calling tonight, Elliot.
We're getting low on time. So what I'd like to do is have you wrap up your feelings and what you're trying to do. And
Amy, why don't you talk about how to get hold of us on the Facebook page?
Yeah, so, if you do want to get involved and you're interested in even behind the scenes getting involved, and getting involved doesn't mean running for office all the time. Sometimes it means just doing some paperwork.
We've got a lot of work to do, yeah.
We do have a lot of work to do. You can look us up on Facebook. We are the Beverly Republican City Committee. That is the name of our Facebook page. And you could private message us on Facebook. We do have meetings. We are really trying to get more ward level engagement. So if you live in any, Ward 5 or Ward 3 or Ward 2, and you want to kind of get a community going together in your local ward, join us. We do have meetings regularly, sometimes twice a month, because we have so much work to do to get together for not only this upcoming election, but also we want to build for the future so that, when Jeff and I pass this on to the next group to run the Republican Party, that we give them a really good, solid organization that we can hand off. So it's our motto, our theme for the year is, prepare for the present, build for the future.
Yeah. And like we touched on, there's a lot of work to do, and we're desperate for people that want to get involved. We need people that want to take leadership positions and really engage. We also need people that just sort of want to be boots on the ground and want to help. But we have need for all kinds of people. You don't have to be the person that's out there pressing palms and being the friendly politician. Like Amy said, we need people behind the scenes. We have an immediate need for someone that can help with website development. Anybody that wants to engage and wants to have involvement at the city level and help make Beverly a great city is, come and join us. We're a big tent.
Sounds good. Gail, you want to wrap up?
Yes. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I think you've given us a lot of information, and it's great to see the Republican Party is trying to build, and hopefully that you will be successful in building and becoming a real strong force in Beverly. Thank you very much, and hopefully you'll come on the show again.